We need to talk about one of the biggest challenges our civilization has ever faced. You see, the rise of AI isn't just about cool new tech. It's a direct threat to our entire operating system. And that operating system, it's trust.
And this really nails it, doesn't it? Machines, they calculate. They run on data, logic, probabilities. But us, we humans, run on something else entirely. Something way more fragile, but also way more powerful. Our ability to just believe in one another. That's the core idea we're going to unpack.
So, what do we do? Well, that's where this idea of Homo Trustus, the trusting human, comes in. This isn't about throwing your phone in the river. It's about consciously choosing how we evolve. You know, Homo sapiens, the thinking human, might have gotten by on thinking alone. But Homo Trustus, we're only going to survive if we learn to believe together.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a big deal, you have to stop thinking of trust as just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's not. Trust is infrastructure. It's the power grid for our society. And right now, that grid is sparking, failing, and heading for a total system blackout.
I mean, just think about it for a second. When did this happen? When did it become possible for us to watch the exact same video or read the same article and walk away with two completely different versions of reality? This isn't just about being polarized anymore. Our shared world is literally splintering apart. And if you want to see the damage, just look at the data. Back in 1964, over 3/4 of Americans trusted their government. Today, that number has absolutely cratered to just 17%. That's not a slow decline, folks. That's a nosedive. The one institution meant to be our firewall is basically gone.
Okay, so what about the media? The system that's supposed to detect threats? Well, it's failing too. All around the world, a whopping 6 out of 10 people just don't trust the news anymore. And it's even crazier than that. A record number of people are now actively avoiding the news. They're just unplugging from the system completely.
Now, when you dig into who we still trust, a really fascinating pattern emerges. Look at the top, doctors and scientists, people who deal in verifiable facts. And who's at the absolute bottom? Journalists and politicians, people who deal in narratives and stories. It's like society is screaming, show me the data, not the story.
So let's be really clear here. This is so much bigger than politics. This is an engineering problem. The fundamental infrastructure that lets us agree on reality itself has a system-critical failure. It's broken.
All right, so if the system is broken, you got to ask why. And the answer, maybe not surprisingly, comes down to economics. It's time to follow the money. Because in the age of AI, lying isn't just easy, it's incredibly profitable. We're living in the era of the liar's dividend.
And this is where you see the core problem, the massive imbalance of our time. Deception, what this source calls industrialized evil, is fully automated, it can scale to infinity, and it pays for itself. But defending the truth, that's still a manual job. It's slow, it doesn't scale, and it runs on goodwill. It's like a tiny craft workshop trying to compete with a giant automated factory. And get this, the economics here are just absolutely brutal. An attacker can spend $4 on a deepfake that then costs a company $500,000 to clean up. That's not a fair fight. That is an economic slaughter.
But it gets even worse, because the entire game has been flipped on its head. The burden of proof is now completely reversed. To deny a real piece of evidence, all a bad actor has to do is shout, "It's a deepfake." That costs nothing, and it spreads like wildfire. But to prove something is real? Oh, that takes time, money, and slow, painstaking forensic work.
You know, at the end of the day, this isn't about people suddenly becoming evil. It's a market failure, pure and simple. We've built an information system that literally pays you to lie. Just like the philosopher Mencius warned thousands of years ago, when profit is the only thing that matters, all the good stuff just gets pushed out.
So, where does this all lead if we just do nothing? If we let this broken system keep running, well, the argument is we're drifting toward one of two very different but equally terrifying futures. Two roads into darkness.
The first road isn't some Hollywood apocalypse. It's more like a slow, grinding decay, a state of permanent low trust and total exhaustion. Think about society after the Soviet Union fell. The buildings are still there, the government offices are open, but nothing actually works. Nothing gets done. People just give up and withdraw.
And then there's the other path, and it couldn't be more different from that chaos. It's perfect, sterile, absolute order. Imagine a city made of white marble, where there's no crime, no dirt, and no free will. In this future, we don't fix trust, we replace it with algorithms. All the friction of being human is gone, but so is our autonomy. So that's the choice we're being handed, right? A slow slide into paralysis and chaos, or a quiet, efficient cage where we trade our freedom for stability. Governance by exhaustion, or order without trust. Neither one is a future any of us should want.
But here's the thing. What if that's a false choice? What if we don't have to pick between those two awful futures? The whole point of this exploration is that there is a third path, but we won't drift into it. We have to consciously, deliberately design it. This quote from Iceland's former president, I think it just says it all. His country was in the middle of a massive financial collapse, and protesters were outside his home. You know what he did? He didn't call the police, he invited them in for hot chocolate, because he actually believed in his people. That's the spirit of the third path.
And that's the real takeaway here. Both the slow collapse and the algorithmic empire are what happened by default. They're accidents. The real choice we have is to be intentional. It's about designing the world we want to live in instead of just accepting the one that happens to us.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? It means we need a huge shift in how we think about this problem. We have to stop acting like fact-checkers and start thinking like security engineers. You know how we beat email spam? We didn't try to read every single email. No, we built smart filters that look for patterns and context. We need to build a new architecture of trust that does exactly that for all information. It has to be automated, real-time, and built to last.
And really, that's what this all boils down to, isn't it? AI is going to change our world. That's a given. The real question is a human one. Are we going to let this technology destroy the very foundation of who we are, or are we going to rise to the occasion and choose to become a species that thrives, not just by calculating, but by trusting?